vaccinated in the period under review. County governments have expanded extension services to livestock farmers as well, reaching almost 2.5 million livestock farmers. Moving a bit faster. In the area of trade and industry, our work in counties begins with registering businesses and giving them permits. We report to Your Excellency that in this period of 4 years alone, county governments have issued over 1 million businesses with trade licenses, demonstrating growing business confidence in the country, because the 47 counties registering local businesses of 1 million actually speaks to the business environment there is. Working with the Ministry of Trade, we have 34 counties that are now developing industrial parks under the County Aggregation and Industrial Park KIPES program, which program also is a collaborative program co-funded by the two levels of government on a 50-50 basis with respect to the construction. And governors have requested, Your Excellency, that the 13 counties that have not been funded so far, I think there's 13 counties that were worried that their funding has been removed in the last budget, that funding be restated, Your Excellency, in the supplementary, because I think this program now is picking up and all the counties don't want to be left behind. But we're working also with the Trade Ministry to operationalize the ones that have been completed. And this program, Your Excellency, is probably the biggest investment in cottage industries since independence. In the area of climate change, the collaboration between the county governments and the national government is also bearing fruit. And here, Your Excellency, there is the financing locally led climate change flow action program across all the 47 counties. This has institutionalized climate governance and dedicated climate financing to the very, very local level, and its impact can be seen in terms of earth dams, in terms of incubation of agricultural farms in even places that are not traditionally crop producing areas. In the area of water, Your Excellency, the data that we have shows that the distances to save water has substantially reduced from 3.2 kilometers to 2.8 kilometers. This is largely because of investment projects such as the Kenya Water and Sanitation Investment Program, which the Ministry of Water is running with counties. Other programs include the Kenya Water Sanitation and Hygiene Program, KWASH. We also have underground water for ASALS, which is part of the Horn of Africa initiative. These, taken together with the investments that counties are putting in water, has resulted in a reduction of distances to save water. In the area of environment, Your Excellency, counties report that as many as 72.5 million trees have been planted in the last financial year alone across counties. Your Excellency, I've been asked to wind up, but please allow me, I just have a few more slides. The most contentious engagement we usually have, Your Excellency, between counties and national government is during the DORA process, which is counties always asking for more money. Equitable share has increased by more than 45 billion shillings in the last 4 years, and I think that was also demonstrated by CS Mbadi. Counties' own source revenue has also tripled, because the more counties get, the more they're also able to generate their own source revenue. But Your Excellency, more than the increase, I think the engagement has also become a lot more mature. Because this engagement usually begins at IBEC. And I remember, and I think my predecessor, Oburu, is probably in the room. And I can see you there. Your Excellency, there's a time when during IBEC days, Anne will call me at 7:30 to call in sick. Because she was avoiding to engage with the chair of IBEC then. Now we have no attendance problems at IBEC. We're always there, and all governors attend. Because we have mature discussions under the chairmanship of His Excellency the Deputy President. Your Excellency, moving on to the general area of intergovernmental relations, the county governments and the national governments have in place at least 42 intergovernmental partnership agreements across all devolved services. We are represented in 32 boards, task forces, and committees, where of necessity, executives at the national and county governments have to meet. And this has sustained intergovernmental engagement and has secured full annual equitable assessments during the last 2 reporting cycles. Members of Parliament may not know that we are represented in boards such as SHA, such as the affordable housing, and this speaks to the collaboration that we have with the national government. Your Excellency, in the area of urban infrastructure and development, at least 200, please move on, at least 202 kilometers of roads have been constructed within 59 municipalities. This is under programs such as Kenya Urban Support Program, KUSUP, and Kenya Informal Sector Program. There has been development of at least 171 kilometers of non-motorized transport infrastructure, provision of 5,250 parking spaces for both private and public transport, construction of 192 kilometers of stormwater drains to mitigate flooding, establishment of 31 kilometers of sewer lines to improve sanitation, creation of 12 recreational facilities, development of at least 12 fire stations in different municipalities, 16 retail markets constructed by counties, 4,533 street lights installed with an additional 81-meter high mast lighting. This is in addition to all the markets and all the street lighting programs that have been undertaken by the affordable housing program in counties. And needless to say, Your Excellency, in many of our counties today, the biggest housing estates that are visible are indeed the affordable housing program houses. In the area of roads, we continue to partner with KURA In many of our sub-counties today, we're seeing tarmac road for the first time in many, many places. In fact, nearly all the constituency headquarters today can boast of some kilometers of tarmac. And for counties, we have at least 185,000 kilometers of roads that's maintained by the county governments. These are vital to link farmers to markets, children to schools, patients to health facilities. And Your Excellency will be glad if the issue of RMLF and the legal architecture around it can be completed so that there is harmony between members of parliament and the county governments. Please move on. I can see the mere mention of it is attracting some reaction. Let's move on. I think I've spoken to that as well. Just move on. In conclusion, Your Excellency, Your Excellency, in conclusion, I want to say this. As we've been told by my party chair, Gladys Wanga, down to 2027 has begun today. And Your Excellency, I began by saying that governors usually feel a bit shy, saying that, national government has done this and that. But I've also said before that as a council, we're not the official opposition. In any case, the official opposition today is ODM, and they're here with us. I think for this 1 year as governors, it will be fair that we speak more of the collaboration that we've had with the national government and what we've achieved with respect with that collaboration, and less of what we have not gotten or what we have through real perception been denied. Nearly all the governors in ODM and UDA are pro the broad-based government. We should take advantage of that. Your Excellency, your opponents, and we don't know who your opponent is as of now, one will try and use devolution and the strengthening and deepening of it as a promise for post-2027 elections. As the council, we feel that this has been the most pro-devolution government or administration there has been. And Your Excellency, I'm licensed to say that because I think I'm the governor who has served longest in the leadership of council, having served as 2 years, as vice chair for 2 years, and 2 years as chair of council. And I'm sure my sister Anne will agree with me. What we need to do, Your Excellency, then, I've not spoken to ECD, but there's much that we've done in the area of education. I just want to wind up because this gentleman keeps knocking on my door. What we need to do, Your Excellency, going forward, for the politics of things, and Gladys has spoken to us, is one, to speak at the mountaintops and everywhere, but two, to reduce cannibalization into each other. As UDA and ODM, and discuss the things that are likely to divide us in boardrooms rather than in rallies. And two, also I mean, I don't see why ODM and UDA will take each other.
Let us have some order.
Let me go on.
No, everybody will have a chance.
I'm not talking about county governments and national governments. I'm talking about UDA and ODM. I don't know whether ODM has taken UDA to court. I'm not aware. To Your Excellency also, we need to reduce the so-called kingpin fights, especially in places where broad-based government has a lot of support. In fact, in those places, Your Excellency, what's likely to hurt us more is this kingpin fights than the opposition. Honorable Junet is pointing at Aaron Cheriot. Maybe I have had something else in mind. I want to end it there. And honorable members of parliament, we are not party to the CDF case. No. Please. We are not party to the CDF case. If a Kenyan enjoins us as COG, we have to send a lawyer to court. But we have no problem with CDF. We have absolutely no problem with CDF as Council of Governors. I think that debate is well behind us. Your Excellency, I want to assure you that as COG, family of broad-based, we will support you and will support this fight because I agree with you. We must come back as broad-based to power in 2027. The alternative is unimaginable. Your Excellency, some of the governors back there have a placard. They're not demonstrating. They're just reminding me of the issue of pensions. I don't want that to be the only thing that's taken out of what I said. I'll leave it at that, Your Excellency. I thank you all.
Just before Mazzayo, 1 minute, stewards, just 1 minute. Thank you. Governor has really spoken to the heart of our administration's perspective on devolution. And just so that we all understand where we are vis-a-vis devolution. Because sometimes there is a lot of propaganda and fake news. Number one, we made a deliberate decision that we are not going to engage in confrontation with our counties. We made a deliberate decision that instead we are going to be consultative, we're going to be facilitative, and we're going to work together. We have done, in my estimation, about 6 critical things with our county governments. Number one, we have not only increased our shareable revenue that is going to the county. It was 370 billion in 2022, in the 428 billion, a whole 60 billion plus. That is fact. In the last 2 years, I have worked with Mbadi here. Any money owed to counties, in the past, we used to cross the year and then counties are paid on the other side of the year and it becomes spending bills and many things. In the last 3 years, every coin owed to counties was paid before the end of the year. Governors are here. I am sure they agree with us because that is the correct position. When we came into office, we engaged these county governors. Number one, we started with community health promoters. They were all over in some counties, not in some counties. Some of them were trained, some of them were not trained, some of them were getting lit stipend, some of them were not getting lit stipend. We agreed with the counties that we need to standardize. And I must commend the county governors because we sat on a table, we agreed, that we are going to engage community health promoters in all counties. We did it. We trained them. As national government, we promised that we are going to kit all these CHPs. We provided equipment for all the CHPs. I must thank the county governments. They paid half the stipend. We paid half the stipend as national government. Again, showing collaboration between our two levels of government. We agreed on fertilizer and farmer issues. The county governments participated in our program of registering farmers. We had only 350,000 farmers registered. Because of the collaboration between the national and county governments, we have now a register of 7.2 million farmers. We can now provide interventions, including fertilizer subsidy, on a voucher system that is on a digital platform. We have since eliminated brokers, we have eliminated cartels, because every farmer is registered. The county governments have given us some of the last mile. You saw here that there was a place where we said we have 228 centers where we are distributing fertilizer. Many of those centers are funded and provided by counties, because agriculture is a shared function, actually a devolved function. But because we believe in devolution, we support agriculture. Together, we have seen coffee, sugar, tea, dairy grow together. The third issue that we did together is on the matter of health. Health is devolved, right? But we would have simply walked away as national government and say health is devolved, they can hang out with it. We did not. We engaged with counties. Apart from CHPs, we moved to the next step. We engaged counties here. The former chair, Anne Waiguru, can bear me witness on the development of all the legislation that we took to Parliament. Counties had a say. They participated in all the legislation that Parliament passed. They have participated in all the boards that we have to demonstrate. I'm saying this so that we can demonstrate our commitment to devolution. By supporting counties to deliver on health, we are supporting counties to deliver on their mandate. And we are not so much bothered about whether this is a devolved function and this is not. We are bothered about the citizens who are the ultimate beneficiaries. In any case, there are no county or national citizens. We just have the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. The county governors will confirm that every hospital today, and they have said correctly, in fact, the chair of the Council of Governors has corrected how many primary care networks we have. It is not 220, it's 278. Our ultimate target is 315, so that every part of Kenya is covered. Every hospital today has a digital gadget. Every facility today, we agreed with the counties that we will do a model facility improvement fund, and every county did pass in their legislatures facility improvement funds in every county. That is why today every hospital in the Republic of Kenya receives money directly from SHA for the citizens of Kenya that they treat. That is how we are improving the quality of service in that space. And I am very proud, I say here without fear of any contradiction, of the partnership that we have done with the county governments. We have also agreed with the counties on matters of equipment. You remember, we had an old program which we were calling MESS, and it actually became somehow a mess because we ended up in a lot of problems with it. Some of the equipment was not working, some of the equipment broke down, there was no mechanism of trying to improve it, and we have many difficulties. So together again, and I remember Anne and my good friend Ahmed here, we sat down with them as the leaders of the county of the counties, and we designed a program where instead of us buying very expensive equipment at very huge financial outlay, and also trying to maintain them, and also trying to service them, we decided that what happens globally is going to happen in Kenya. So innovatively, we now have equipment under the new program that we don't pay for. Manufacturers place those equipments in our hospitals. We only pay for service. It has made it possible for many hospitals in our counties now to have equipment, and that those equipment for the service is paid for by SHA. Again, collaboration between the county government and our national government because of matters to do with making service available at the county. Every county government, in fact, there were only 2 counties that had refused initially because I think they didn't understand. But now, every county government has signed an intergovernmental participating agreement, what we call the IPA. We have also agreed on KEMSA. In fact, there is now a further discussion as to whether we can net off, and I think that's a conversation Sakaja has been encouraging me to do. We can agree on how to net off some of the debts between what we owe councils, what they owe KEMSA, and what we can net off so that we can have a smoother program, because we must make sure together there are health commodities in every hospital. And on KIPES, this good man has said what we are doing together. Again, counties gave 250 million, and the national government gave 250 million for the KIPES. We have now in the budget, Waziri Lee, I think 4 billion shillings to equip all the county aggregation and industrial parks that have already been completed, so that we can make them operational, because these will be the first stages of cottage industries in our counties. Again, the county governments, we have worked together on them. And of course, the housing program. We have worked on it together. Some of the land upon which we are building affordable housing is national government. Some of it is county government. But we haven't distinguished this is county, this is national, because the citizens of any county, whether the land is national or county, belong to that county. And therefore, there is no need for us to waste time. Let me answer 2 questions that I see people keep asking. People keep asking, why are we using national government land or county government land to build affordable housing that eventually is sold to individuals? This is my answer to them. National government land or county government land, there is a mechanism in the law for them to be converted. It is legal. And let me ask them, between a national government land or a county government land being used to develop housing which benefit Kenyans, and that same land being left for grabbers to take it or to own it, which one is better? Alternatively, between that land being squattered and slums developing in those pieces of land and it being converted into decent, affordable dwellings for Kenyans, which one is better? For a slum to develop or for an orderly, affordable housing to be developed? Logic. Akili bwana. Sio kama tunaelewana. You know, so because I see many people struggling there saying, oh, why are we? And the third question, which I want to answer, they keep asking, why are you selling to citizens houses that have been built on government land using... In fact, Oburu has made it clear. Oburu says whatever land, be it by county or national, is held in trust by those governments for the people. So if the people benefit from that piece of land, what is the problem? But let me answer the third question. The third, some people are asking, why are we selling to citizens land, houses that have been built on government land using resources raised by the people of Kenya? I want to answer them. It is because the resources that we have put together by the people of Kenya using the housing levy and the land upon which we are building this land does not belong to one person. It belongs to all Kenyans. So when you buy, you have to pay, because we need the money to do the revolving fund until every other citizen has gotten a house. Then that is when we will stop. But until and unless each and every one of us has got a house, we will continue the revolving fund, because in any case, we have a shortage of close to 2.5 million houses, and that shortage is growing. So we are chasing a number that is moving. That is why we must continue building on whatever land that is available and selling to whoever Kenyan wants to be a homeowner. That's how we are going to change our country. And I want, in that particular case, to thank our counties for being part and parcel of the transformation that we have undertaken, whether it is in health, in agriculture, in housing, in county affiliation, national parks, and all the others. And I want to confirm that we do not have friction anymore between the counties and the national government, because we have a deputy who will... So continue.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I have a small message for all of us here. Waheshimiwa, tafadhali nisikizeni kidogo. Nisikizeni kidogo. That this information is very important for all of us. That this is a hotel. We are not the only visitors. So please, do not leave your personal belongings or items unattended. We've had a few incidences. And therefore, please do not leave any of your items. For our sisters, your bags. For our brothers and sisters, you have telephones. So don't leave them unattended. Let me take this opportunity now, Your Excellency, to call the Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi. Please come on stage and address us.
Party Leader Oburu, Deputy President Kindiki, and colleagues in the broad-based. Broad-based hoye! Broad-based hoye! I know I am competing with the low sugar levels, but I will try and be as crisp as possible. Your Excellency, dear colleagues, Kenya's foreign policy gains and active participation in major multilateral forums. I can hear there are many people of Linda group in here because they are talking too much. So, before we understand that statement that I've made, I think it is important that I profile the chief diplomat of Kenya, and that is His Excellency President William Ruto, who has provided strategic leadership in elevating our country's global standing and advancing our foreign policy posture. So, here is his profile, just partly, not all. President Ruto, one, is the African Union champion for institutional reforms. President Ruto is the current chair of COMESA. President Ruto is the chair of the Committee of African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change. He has just handed over the chairmanship of the East African Community. President Ruto is also the champion for Africa Continental Free Trade Area in Africa. He is also the champion for pharmaceutical manufacturing for the African Union. I am profiling this so that we can contextualize Kenya's growing stature in the diplomatic field. President Ruto has addressed 2 G7 summits. The 50th G7 summit in Italy in June 2024, and more recently, the 52nd G7 summit in France in June 2026. President Ruto has addressed, since he took over, 4 United Nations General Assemblies from 2022, including the Summit of the Future Plenary, which was very well received. President Ruto has become the second Kenyan head of state to address the Tanzanian parliament in Dodoma. The first one was Daniel Moi in 2002 November, and they called it his exit speech or his farewell speech. President Ruto has become the first Kenyan head of state to address the European Parliament. President Ruto, there have been many state visits to Egypt, but he made the last state visit as a Kenyan head of state to Egypt. There's a difference between official and official state visits. President Ruto has had state visits at the invitation of host heads of state, and in 5 occasions he received full ceremonial honors. South Africa, June 2026, Kazakhstan, May 2026, United States, May 2024, Ghana, April 2024, India, December 2023, and Tanzania in October 2022. So between September 22nd and June 2026, the head of state of Kenya has had 145 high-level diplomatic engagements, comprising 55 outbound state and official visits, 38 inbound state and official visits, and 52 major international conferences and summits. And this has resulted, just within that period, in the signing of 297 bilateral cooperation instruments with 57 partner countries and international organizations. I'll be sharing this with the Secretariat so that it can also be given to you. I'm just picking the highlights. So, what would be the landmark diplomatic achievements that I can sample? I don't want to give all, I just want to sample. First of all, just a few weeks ago, Kenya has now been elevated to Tier 1 under the African Union. Tier 1 is an enhanced status which gives Nairobi a stronger voice in shaping continental policies, peace funds, and trade agreements. Kenya now joins the continent's highest contributing economies. They normally call them the elite group, including Algeria, Angola, Egypt, Ethiopia, Morocco, Nigeria, and South Africa. This tier group, I think you listened to Mbandi very well. The strong economy has contributed to this, and the strong economy is led by President Ruto. Non-major NATO ally of the United States. President Ruto led a delegation in May 2024 to the United States. I had some governors mentioning how they found it difficult to access certain places. And this was the first visit by an African leader to the White House officially over a period of 16 years. Now, what does non-major NATO ally mean? It means a lot. In security terms, without going into detail, it means that Kenya, if need be, from a security perspective, can have access to more advanced equipment. Kenya-China relations were elevated to an all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership after a state visit by the President. And if you will recall, through these strong engagements, Kenya was able to lead from the front in getting through FOCAC, the declaration that has given Africa access for free preferential trade to the country of China. A very, very big achievement for Kenya and for Africa, and the President has been at the forefront of this. Kenya has signed a SEPA agreement with the United Arab Emirates, a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Kenya has also signed an agreement with the European Union, EPA. Kenya on the economic front, on the political front, has just finished a mission in Haiti, a peacekeeping mission, where Kenya came out to support a strong peace effort in Haiti when everybody globally was running away from that. So we have reasserted our position as a key contributor to peace initiatives globally under the UN framework. Let me very quickly also flag some recent events that are important. Kenya, for the first time, hosted the Africa Forward Summit. This is the first ever collaboration between France, which is a French-speaking country, and Kenya, which is English-speaking. All these fora have always been held in Francophone countries, but for the first time, Kenya hosted this France-Africa Forward Summit in an English-speaking country. This summit brought together, in May 2026, 26 heads of state and government, 5 vice presidents, deputy prime ministers, 3 first ladies, 12 ministers, 23 heads of international organizations, including the United Nations Secretary General, and several non-governmental organizations, and the private sector. Kenya has hosted the Ocean Conference in Mombasa. We thank the team led by Joho for organizing that very well. Kenya has hosted the International Conference on Nuclear Energy in 2026. Kenya hosted the Africa We Build Summit. Kenya hosted the Africa Climate Summit in September 2023, where the Nairobi Declaration was made, and that has become a blueprint for the COP series of international events on environment. As I have said, I've already pointed out the issue of the non-major NATO ally. Kenya has for the first time tabled its sessional paper on foreign affairs in Parliament. Thank you to the parliamentarians, both in the National Assembly and the Senate, for ratifying this and helping us through. We have been able to clear 2 contentious issues in terms of Kenya's position. One is our position on Palestine. It's no longer an issue. Through Parliament, we have clarified that point. Through Parliament, we have also clarified that Kenya stands for the One China policy. It's important that this is taken into account, and it's within the sessional paper. It was approved. Your Excellency, let me very briefly just touch on the aspects of the diaspora. If we can get to the diaspora, because there are quite a number of things here. Let me just focus a little bit about the diaspora. First, ladies and gentlemen, let us remember that this is the first government that has recognized the diaspora by granting a state department. It was never that way. It was always embedded within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, quietly, as a small function, but it is now a state department. Within the diaspora engagement, let me just flag a few milestones. We have created the Diaspora Placement Agency. We have the Diaspora Development Support Office. We have the Kenya Diaspora Investment Strategy, which has been rolled out. We have the placement scale, Kazi Maju. And ladies and gentlemen, within the period of 2022 to date, through the Kazi Maju program, working with the diaspora and Ministry of Labor, job placements have hit, for Kenyans abroad, have hit 580,000. Outside, not here. Mobile consular services have been extended across 124 cities in 58 countries, and 16,000 Kenyans have been able to access consular services. And these are growing systematically. Our missions, and I think the AG is working very closely, they'll soon be able to completely do the marriages and everything that some of our people need in different parts of the world, so that we can make it easier. Under the consular services, they've received IDs, they've received support in different ways. Kenya, under the diaspora, has also set up the NCLX Examination Center, and this was a center that was established to be able to certify nurses who wish to go and work in countries like the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. That center is here, they can be licensed here, and then they can proceed. Diaspora has also engaged in quite some substantial evacuation and repatriation. We have, in the last 5 years, helped 5,292 Kenyans in distress from various countries, including Sudan, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, some in Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, UAE, Tanzania, Qatar, and more recently in South Africa, where there was the threat of xenophobia. Kenya has 72 missions globally. In a nutshell, the point I'm trying to put across is that this was not easy to achieve. With the United States, for instance, Kenya has signed a 200 billion health partnership with the United States, courtesy of the President of Kenya leading this from the front. We have had a lot of cooperation in education, culture, and sport, in ICT. More recently, the President made a visit to Belgium, and one of the things he's very close to concluding is, in the ICT sector, is the data adequacy, where Kenya will be categorized through the European standards as one of the most suited nations for matters ICT. That, again, is going to be very, very important in our journey on the digital engagements and advancement. Let me now almost conclude. Dear compatriots, here in Nairobi, President Ruto led the groundbreaking ceremony with the Secretary General of the United Nations to put up a new headquarters complex. The estimated cost for the new UN expansion program is 380 million plus US dollars, which means when complete, apart from what Kenya is doing in Bomas with their own resources, the United Nations complex here at Gigiri will be able to host a UN General Assembly after the completion. We have had the Middle East crisis. There was some foresight somewhere before the Middle East crisis came through, and maybe this I will pick because I think Mbandi missed it. The G2G arrangement. My dear colleagues, the Middle East crisis has caused massive disruptions in global supply chains. Massive. What has saved us, especially in terms of the steady supply of fuel, we may argue about prices kidogo, but the steady supply of fuel was because Kenya has a G2G arrangement with the oil-producing countries. This one, Mr. President, you drove it. It was not anticipated, the war was not on, but you pushed and said that it's absolutely essential. We hedge our risks, and the best way to hedge our risks was to make sure that we have a G2G. I think it is paying off, and indeed, other countries are now coming on board. Rwanda has come on board to be part of this arrangement, and other countries are copying the template. That's a very serious statement in that area. Now, a few things which I will request, Your Excellency, through you, I want to say that going forward, we need a lot of support from Parliament. A lot of support from Parliament. Parliament is primarily a legislative body. But I want you to fathom Parliament in a competing geopolitical world. Competing geopolitical environment. If Parliament is forward-looking and it's seeing the global picture, we are likely to move much faster as a country in terms of our legislation and the direction we ought to take. So, dear colleagues from Parliament, help us to position Kenya even better through your legislative function. Sometimes our neighbors want to raid. They want to raid functions from here. Whether they are security related, whether they are economic related. And it is because sometimes we are stuck in Parliament through a protracted process. I really plead with you that let's take keener interest and accelerate that which is going to place Kenya at an even higher strategic level. The other thing that I want to appeal, and then I will conclude, is that, oh, by the way, the example I can give is Batuk. Let me just give the example of Batuk. It's more recent, it's in the papers. There are friendly countries who are also waiting for the opportunity for that to falter here so that they can grab it. Because there are spin-offs that emerge. So that is an example that I can just place to you. Your Excellency, let me appeal again to Parliament and hopefully Leader of Majority, both will help us on this one. We strongly wish to see the public participation bill concluded. When we come to the session on legislation, maybe you can give us a reason to smile on this particular aspect, because it's long overdue and it is delaying a lot of things. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to profile the President. I wanted to just highlight a few of those. More are in the document. I don't want to go through it. But if there's a moment I can say I've seen a busy head of state in diplomatic engagement, it's this time around. You cannot have that profile, those engagements, unless you have an active head of state on the diplomatic front. He has literally, and I can say this without blinking, he has literally become not just the voice of Kenya, but the voice of Africa. A consequential diplomatic voice, a consequential diplomatic influence, which we need in order to consolidate Kenya's diplomatic standing even further. Kazi kwenu, kazi kwetu. Finally, let me say thank you, Mr. President. I've enjoyed very much working with you in the foreign docket. It is excellent. We continue looking forward to your support. Tukienda mbele. Asanteni sana.
Haya, tumpigie Mheshimiwa Musalia makofi jameni. Asante sana waziri. Now, we decided to have that session because part of what informs our success, especially in the economic front, is the perception of Kenya globally. It is important that we have a national posture as a country that assists in bringing foreign direct investments into Kenya. People must develop confidence in our country. If you don't remember the many things Musalia has said, remember 5 things. Number 1, in diplomacy, we put the citizens of Kenya first. That is why we have a State Department responsible for Kenyans in the diaspora, because they are our biggest ambassadors. How we treat them, how they speak about our country out there, informs how others think about our country. That's number 1. Number 2, we hosted the first Africa Climate Summit, the first ever hosted by any country. It gave us real status in the continent. It was a global event. It was a continental event. And it was a measure of stamp of approval by the continent, by the sheer attendance. Number 3, Kenya became the African country that was invited by the United States for a state visit in almost 20 years. No other African country had been invited, signifying the place of Kenya in the international community. Number 4, being a Francophone country and understanding the stature of Kenya, France chose to have the Africa Forward Summit hosted by a Francophone country for the first time by an Anglophone country for the first time in French-Africa relations. And it was a big milestone. And number 5, Kenya became the country that attended the G7 this year representing Africa. And I want to tell you, our standing is in real good shape. So, together with you guys, we have profiled our country positively. Now, we need to wrap up this space on where we stand today. There is no better person who can connect between the economy, the social issues, education, devolution, diplomacy, better than my deputy. So, he is going to provide the wrap-up for this and to give us now the complete picture. John has spoken to some aspects of it. The chair of Council of Governors has spoken to some aspects of it. Musalia has spoken to some aspects of it. But the complete picture of where we are, the most appropriate person to do that in the program is the Deputy President. The question I want to ask us is, does he do it now? Or we do lunch and then come back so that we can complete now? By consensus, everybody says he does it now. Mr. Deputy President, you have the floor so that you can now connect the dots. Wale watu, kuna wengine walihepa wakaenda lunch wachache. They need to be mobilized. Pardon? Okay, so we do lunch and then we come back. Okay. Again, we revise consensus. So, Mr. Deputy President, we will go for lunch. Okay, so we break for lunch for 25 minutes. 25. So we will be back here quarter. Son.
Wimbo ninaimba, sio wimbo ni maombi, nikiomba